Dudes and dudettes, how are you guys? This is Chazzy and welcome back to Telechazzy, and today I'm going to be talking about one of my favorite TV shows that I've watched recently. It is actually a Korean sort of romantic drama, soap opera kind of thing, you know. It's called Crash Landing on You in English, and in Korean here's a trailer. Okay, so guys, now I have seen this show, I have consumed it, you know, so intricately. I paid so much attention. It's been a while since I finished, but I still remember a lot of details. But I'm still gonna use a little cheat sheet here. I have Wikipedia open because I cannot remember the people's names, okay? They are Korean, so give me a break, okay? But basically, it's about a South Korean woman named Yoon City. You know, she's a South Korean tribal heiress to the Queen's group, you know, and she is a rich woman. She has a lot of money, so does her family, and she is next in line to be the heir to the throne of her father's empire, you know. Of course, her siblings get jealous and try to sabotage her, and then one certain day she goes paragliding, she goes parachuting, and paragliding or parachuting? I think they're the same thing, but anyway, she does one of those things, and then a storm picks up and it blows her into the North Korean border, you know, and there she meets a soldier named Jung-hyun. I can't pronounce these people's names, you know. She meets him. Now, obviously, you guys know in real life there is a very tense division between South Korea and North Korea. So any of these people meeting each other and having any kind of relations is a big no-no in both sides, you know. So against their better judgment, they eventually fall in love as the series goes on, you know. But their first meeting, you know, the whole Crash Landing on You thing, you know, is there in the DMZ, the demilitarized military zone in North Korea, you know. Now, at first, Ji-hye is reluctant to turn her in. Actually, at first he does try to, he attempts to, you know, but eventually he decides to protect her, you know, because he starts to notice how much of a sweet woman she is, you know, and eventually they kind of grow attached to each other, you know, but it's not an overnight thing. It does take a while. Now, the show is pretty long in the sense that each episode is about anywhere from 1 hour to 1 hour and 40 minutes long, which is crazy. The finale was almost 2 hours, you know, and this is very common with South Korean shows. I don't know why they make everything so long. They just want to, you know, and each episode has a lot of stories to tell, a lot of things, you know. To me, it would be easier just separating them into maybe at most 30 hours, wow, 30 minutes each episode, then dividing them into seasons, you know, but man, some antics, you know, but still, very good show, and there is a lot to take in, there is a lot to absorb, so I'm gonna try to sort of get into it as best as I can, but not getting into too much detail because, like I said, each episode is an hour long. There are, I think, 16 episodes. Let me give myself a refresher here. 16 episodes in total, each one about 70 to 110 minutes. So there's a lot to unpack. There is a lot to take in. So I'm gonna try to do it as best I can. You know, trying not to get into too much detail so I don't bog you guys down, okay? Wow, just the introduction there left me out of breath. Okay, let's do it. We see a lot of cultural differences between the North and the South, you know, as the show goes on, and we get to see that there's a lot of tension between the characters. You know, it's a comedy drama, so there are a few dramatic moments, of course, but there is a lot of comic relief throughout, you know, a lot of romantic comedy, and it's really nice to see how the characters grow. The character development is insanely strong in this series, you know, because almost everyone changes to some degree, you know, and Yin Suri, she does try a few times to escape, go back to South Korea, you know, but the attempts are foiled and she has to stay there. At first, she's really sad about it, you know, she really just wants to go home because this is a spoiled rich girl who's used to having servants and taking baths and spas and jacuzzis and things like that. And she goes to North Korea where everything is more frugal. They have a very inferior lifestyle, you know, especially because this guy lives in a village, you know, a military village. So everything is rudimentary, you know, and old school. So she has to take a shower and she has to take a bath in like this big bucket, you know, and has to wait for the water to heat up before she gets in, you know, and there's very little food to eat. It's different than what she's used to, you know. It's much more down to earth and traditional, you know. So as it goes on, she starts to grow accustomed to the North Korean way of life, you know, eventually pretty much growing attached to it. She really likes it, you know, and as it goes on and on, the episodes go on, she actually starts to not even want to go back to South Korea, you know. She wants to stay there because she does fall in love with Jung-hyun, you know. She falls, I probably butchered his name like 5 times already, but anyway, then there is a key moment where, like guys, it should be obvious that South Koreans are not allowed in North Korea, you know, so her presence is eventually discovered, but then Ri Jung-hyuk plays it off as her being his fiance from the South, you know, a North Korean who was infiltrating the South to do something, then came back to North Korea, you know. At first, it actually played out pretty well, but then we discovered that Ri Jung-hyuk actually does have a fiance, a North Korean girl whose name is, I think, Seo Dion, or Dan Seo. Let me see it. Oh, I almost got it right. Yeah, Seo Dion. Seo Dan is his actual fiance, you know, and she's very beautiful. Both of these women are amazingly drop dead gorgeous, you know. Like, if it were up to me, I wouldn't even be able to decide between one or the other, you know. But of course, it's an arranged marriage, so there's not really love there in the middle. It's just like their families wanted them to get together, so they did. Something that's actually very customary in Asia, you know. It happens a lot in Korea too, and you know, as it goes on, you know, Dan, she discovers this woman, you know, and that she's going around being his fiance as well, and of course she gets jealous, you know. But there are a lot of layers, a lot of emotional layers in this series, you know, and the characters, they grow a lot, you know. Some of them grow attached to each other, others grow unattached, you know, as time goes on, and eventually, I'm giving you guys a few spoilers here, and I'm kind of telling you how the show goes. I'm jumping ahead a bit, then coming back, you know. Towards the end, Seo Dion, they completely break off their marriage, you know, their engagement, sorry, and because there's just no love, you know. Eventually Yoon Soo-ri and Ri Jung-hyuk, they fall in love, you know. It's actually a very interesting match, you know, a North Korean guy and a South Korean woman, you know. And like, the North Koreans are known to not feel a lot of emotion. They're always really cut and dry, you know. But eventually he does show off his softer side because of his cohabitation with Yoon Soo-ri, you know. And back in South Korea, there's a lot of family drama unfolding, you know. Yoon Soo-ri's family, you know, they presume her to be dead, and eventually there's a process that one of her brothers goes over to take on the empire, but he does find out that Yoon Soo-ri is alive, and he tries to keep her from coming back, you know, through any means possible, even if it means killing her, you know. So it's very complicated, you know. It's very complicated, these family relations in the series, you know. A lot of really, really tense things happen. There is a commander, a North Korean commander who, let me see if I can find him. I forgot his name. Blah 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 blah. Material supported wife. No, not that. Here we go. I think it's, yes. I'm pretty sure it's On Man-suk. No, that's the actor's name. Joel Seung-gang, commander in the North Korean Armed Forces, who is principal. Yeah, it's definitely him. Joel Seung-gang is the lieutenant commander in the North Korean Armed Forces Security Bureau. He's pretty much serving as the prime villain in the series. You know, he tries to arrest Yoon Soo-ri, you know, and take her to custody, but then eventually he tries to kill her for some reason, you know. The vendetta takes on a wrong turn. She does eventually go back to South Korea, and the reaction is crazy. Everyone's like, oh, she's alive, you know, but she has changed a lot. She used to be a very conceited woman and a very arrogant who didn't really care about anyone, and now she's sweet and she's well-mannered, you know. She actually cares. She gives people breaks, you know. She's a much more all-around woman. And then this guy, the lieutenant commander, he follows her. He somehow gets into South Korea and tries to find her so he can kill her, you know. It takes on a really dark turn, you know. The guy wants to end the woman's life, you know. For her opinion, I mean, like, she's already gone, man. There's no reason for him to track her down and try to kill her, but I don't know, man. There has to be a conflict in the story, you know, so yeah. There is a lot of political corruption also in the scene, you know, that we don't see too much, but then the story starts to unravel. We find out that Ri Seung-jun had a brother who was in the military while Ri Seung-hyuk was pursuing a music career. He even went to Switzerland playing the piano and studying and stuff. But then his brother is killed, and what we later find out was a conspiracy theory. It was a setup, not a theory, a conspiracy that was set up by the actual political bureau, you know. And then he has to take his brother's place in the military. And it's actually really cool because while we have flashbacks to when he was in Switzerland, Switzerland meeting up with Dion, you know, his fiance at the time. And they were trying to connect and get to know each other. And there he actually does meet Yoon Soo-ri a long time before the events of the series happened, you know, and she was there. She took a photo of him and his fiance, you know, so it's destiny. The show does play a lot on the concept of destiny and that people were meant to be, you know. It's pretty much the star-crossed lovers concept of Romeo and Juliet, you know. And a lot of things happen, you know. There was one scene that actually made me cry. I am man enough to admit that I did cry. There was a scene where Yoon Soo-ri was actually shot. You know, she was fatally shot, you know, while she was trying to save Ri Jung-hook's life, you know, and it was an accidental shot. The guy was actually, the lieutenant commander, the primary antagonist, was actually trying to shoot Yoon Soo-hook, and she got in the way with the car and she took the bullet, you know, and we see her there lying motionless, you know, with blood coming out of her, and it's like, I'm like, my reaction was literally this: no, nope. Nope, like fighting back tears, but they were coming out, man. You know, nope, she didn't die. I'm almost crying now, just remembering it. You know, I was like, nope, they're not gonna do this. They are not gonna kill her off. I refuse to believe it, you know. I immediately watched the next episode, and yes, of course, she does recover. You know, she was put in a hospital, and she survives. But still, man, that was the biggest scare ever in any TV show I've ever seen, you know. That was crazy. That was worse than Hank's actual death in Breaking Bad, man. That was horrible. But yes, it really played on my heartstrings. She goes to the hospital. Yoon Soo-hook stays by her side, you know. And eventually he tries to push her away emotionally when she comes out of the hospital to see him, because he doesn't want her. It's the classic, I'm gonna hurt the person I love to see if I can push them away, you know. But of course it doesn't work. They had already gotten way too attached to each other at that point, you know. It was impossible to keep her away. There are a few twists and turns here, you know, and his friends, his military friends, actually come by from North Korea to visit the South, you know, do a little espionage, you know, and try to look for her, try to look for him too as well. And they really had the time of their lives, you know, seeing how different the South is from the North, you know, because we had Yoon Soo-ri going from the South to the North and seeing how different life was there, and then the opposite with these guys. They had a lot of fun, you know, and yeah, it was really crazy. So much character development between them. They eventually grow to really like Yoon Soo-ri, you know, and they almost cry. I think they do cry at one point when she goes to the hospital, so they really do become firm friends, you know. And like I said, character development is out the wazoo. It's really, really crazy. And eventually the sub-story of the engagement between Ri Seung-jun, that guy, and Seo-dan is resolved because of this guy here. Let me see if I can find him. What is his name? I don't know. Okay, Jung Seung-gun, who plays Alberto Gu, he's actually a South Korean dude he's a con man with British citizenship. He speaks English, you know, and there are a few things happening there he tries to play out. He was actually previously engaged to Yoon Soo-ri, but then she rejected him because she saw right through him, so he tried to sabotage the family business, you know. He conned them out of a lot of money. Then he had to escape to North Korea, you know, this whole thing, you know, and there are people who are after him, and eventually it's crazy because eventually there a romance blossoms between this guy Alberto Gu and Seo-dan, you know, because they were both pushed away emotionally by the people who they were arranged to marry, and then they came together, you know. At first there's a lot of tension, you know, there's not really much to see there in terms of actual attraction, but it does eventually play out, you know. I thought that was really sweet. I was actually rooting for them to get together, you know, because it's like they were both shunned emotionally, you know, and then they found each other vulnerable in that state, and they, you know, I think it was really meant to be. But of course, you know, it's not everything has a happy ending, and eventually Alberto gets shot trying to save Dan's life, you know. He gets fatally shot and dies in an ambulance on the way to the hospital, you know. That is the most emotion that you see from Seo-dan, who is portrayed as a very cold girl, you know, almost like emotionless, you know. She doesn't really feel love for anything, but she does eventually attract herself to this guy, and she even cries a few times. They kiss, they hug, you know. A lot of character development in this character specifically. I loved it a lot, you know. And eventually, yes, she unfortunately bawls her eyes out, you know, when he dies, and she's I think she eventually travels to Switzerland or something. Yeah, she does go back to Switzerland to pursue a career in, I forgot what she did, man. What the hell did she do before the wedding? She does it. Okay, I forgot. I'm not even gonna try to find the plot here, but corrupt officers, okay, yeah, I think she goes to Switzerland to do her music thing, or some other place, Paris, France, whatever. But yeah, let me check my timer here. But basically, that's it for now, you know. Another thing that's really amazing about the series is the soundtrack. You know, I love the songs so much. They are just amazing, and some of them are played on repeat throughout the series. They played them multiple times, you know, to really set the mood. And there's even a playlist on Spotify, Crash Landing on You official soundtrack, you know. My favorite song is this one right here, Flower by Yoon-mi. I don't know how to pronounce her name. Very, very good song. It's amazing, and it almost makes me cry every time, you know. And I don't know, guys, there are just a few songs that really they really kind of play on the emotion of the moment, you know, the emotion of the moment. There are a lot of other characters too, supporting roles, but I really can't say them all, guys. There are way too many, and I can't even pronounce some of their names, you know. But there are a lot of really cool stuff, you know. There's a lot of really nice scenes that really play on the emotions, you know, and then pull on the heartstrings. And Yoon Soo-ri has this thing called Series Choice, where she runs a whole fashion boutique company, you know. And I think it's really nice. I think the show is really cool, you know. I probably left out quite a few details because, remember, it has been a while since I've seen it, and there are a lot of things to take in, you know. And it's really nice to see the romance between the two main characters slowly blossoming and growing stronger and stronger, you know, because the affection is so mutual, you know. You see it happening simultaneously, you know. They grow more and more attached to each other, and at the very end they do end up together, which is the best thing. I forgot what happens exactly. I think he moves to South Korea or something like that, or they just go to visit each other, but at the very end they do meet up, I think in Europe, maybe back in Switzerland, you know. And it's really cool, a very happy ending despite all of the bad things that happen, you know. The conspiracies, their own families didn't want them to be together, you know. His father is very high up there in the political bureau, you know. But I think it was nice. I think it was really cool. One of the best romantic series I have ever seen in my life, if not the best, you know. South Korea really knows how to make dramas, you know, and how to make romantic dramas, even though the actors and actresses, they exaggerate sometimes in their performances, you know. It's like Japanese people. It's like, oh yeah, they just exaggerate too much, they overact too much, but it didn't bog down the series at all, you know. I think that the main characters were really, really good in what they did, you know, their craft. And it's awesome. If you guys don't like South Korean dramas, I still recommend this one. If you like anything related to romance, you know, you guys are definitely going to enjoy it. Watch it, of course, with English subtitles. Don't watch it dubbed in your language because it's going to suck. You know, always watch everything subtitled because you're going to feel the emotion behind it, you know. That's just how I feel. And it's just one of the best series I've ever seen in my life, man. My God. But yeah, guys, I honestly think that's it. I think that's all I can say. I don't want these videos to get too long, you know, even though I'm reviewing a television series. And I just think it's really nice, you know. It introduced me to even more South Korean culture and a little bit of North Korean as well, you know. Getting to pick up a little bit on the language, a few things. I like to listen to K-pop. I love K-pop, you know, South Korean music in general. So it was nice. I recognized a few words and terms, you know. And it was cool to see their culinary, their stuff, the different cultures, you know, what they ate, how they speak, and how they act, you know. I think it was really, really nice, you know. So it's a very cultural series for me to learn more about Korea in general, you know what I mean. I think it was really nice. I liked it a lot, you know. And I might go back and watch it at some point way down the line because it's been too recent. I don't like to watch television series too recent after I finish, you know. There are a few other Korean shows on my list, you know. I'm really curious to see other ones. There's one that's called My Shy Boss. That's probably going to be the next one that I watch and eventually review it as well. They're really cool. I think the actresses really did a good job, you know. For example, the main characters, Hoon Bin as Ri Jung-hook, and Soon Ye-jin as Yoon Soo-ri, and Kim Jung-hyun as Alberto Gu, and Seo Ji-hye as Seo Dion, you know, were my favorites. I think they really did well. It was a perfectly casted series, you know, and it made me curious to check out their other stuff, you know. I think the main characters, the main actor and the actress, they actually did something else together. I think they did a movie together, you know. I'm curious to see how that played out. But yeah, I think it was really nice. A lot of good layers, you know, and a lot of tense moments that make you cry and feel anger and happiness, you know. And yeah, I don't think I've ever felt that for any TV show, man. You know, it just, I became really invested in it. You know, it really was a literal soap opera for me. You know, I became really emotionally invested, and I definitely recommend it to anyone who's curious about how it is, you know. But that's it. That has been my little review of Crash Landing on You on Telechazi, all right? Stay tuned here on my playlist where I'm gonna do other stuff related. You know, I do a lot of reviews of TV series in general. You know, I talk about them, you know, and each one has a little bit of a different spin. But what they have in common is that I try to include video clips of all of the series that I watch, you know. So it's really cool if you guys wanna check it out, you know. So I think that's it. think that's it for now. My timer here says 21 minutes, so I've been I've been rambling on for quite a while. But that's it, guys, okay? This is Chazzy signing out for now, and as always, I will see you guys in the next video.